Welcome, everybody, to Den Excelsior episode 149. I'm your host, Ricky. With me, as always, Dennis.
Is it St. Patty's Day?
Is it? I think
It
I'm feeling a little green.
it looks pretty green right now on the show.
My room's just always green.
Your room is always green?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's like you like the green light promotes positivity.
here,
Right? Something like
I'll
that.
give us a little bit more to celebrate.
Oh, yeah.
Uh,
Why isn't it green?
why is it green? It's green because this week, Ricky, we're doing the movie that you picked. We're doing Ang Lee's The Hulk. And
2003's Hulk.
yeah.
The first live action movie, but no, right? Technically,
First theatrical release
okay.
of the Hulk.
There it is.
That is the Hulk is historically a live action character in popular media for longer than I think most superheroes. Like definitely most any Marvel character.
It's Batman then the Hulk, right? In terms of like
Batman and Superman have been around since forever.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Superman does go way back in
like
terms
from
of TV,
black and
TV
white,
shows.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the Green Hornet and stuff like that. So yeah, I could say the Hulk is probably like at least the most famous.
Was the Green Hornet a comic book thing prior to the show, or was?
You know what? I'm not sure about that. I am not a Green Hornet expert by any means. I won't even try to pretend.
Remember liking the Seth Rogen movie, but that's the extent of what my expertise goes to.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the kind of tangents you can expect on this show. We started with the Hulk and we ended up with Seth Rogen.
They're all green.
Sure. Seth Rogen's green too, apparently. Yeah, but no, we'll be talking more about the Hulk later in the show. I think we're just gonna chit chat for a bit, just to get our nerd vibes ready to go, get us in the mood before we jump right in. What have you been nerding out on this week?
Ooh, what have I been nerding out on? Fortnite. Fortnite's still so good. I know they released the I guess the past level 100 skins or variants or whatever that I'm assuming you already have unlocked.
The super styles. I have the first page of them unlocked, so I'm on the last 2 pages of the battle pass.
Let's see that.
I don't know how I feel about them.
No, I mean I like the flaming one. It's cool.
They're all flaming. All
the red flaming
colors
one, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Gotcha. What else did I watch? Only Murders is back. Show's great. That show does like a really good 1-2 punch of I think with the comedy. It's still very current, I think, right? Given Steve Martin and why am I slipping? Who's the other person? That's
Martin Short.
Martin Short. Their comedy chops. Their mainstays for a reason. And I think they find really neat ways to stay relevant with their humor. But there's some like very serious undertones that show, like, I think very elegantly dips into, which makes it special. But the crazy thing that I watched this week, I forgot the name of it. The Monkey Show, the new Tiger King. That show is crazy. That show is bananas.
I have not watched that one. Sorry.
You know what I'm talking about, though, right?
I do know what you're talking. The creators of the Tiger King Netflix documentary have found another wild animal story involving monkeys, correct?
Yes, and just like Tiger King, it keeps going bonk. It gets crazier and crazier with each episode. But I think where we can tie it back to the movie stuff is
it on Hulu or
I think it's on Max.
Max. You're right. It is on Max. You're right. I saw it.
The main monkey, or one, I guess, the main monkey that the story centered around is actually a movie monkey. So any chimp you've probably seen since like the past 10 years has probably been this monkey.
Okay. All right. I haven't seen a lot of chimps other than Planet of the Apes.
The monkey in Speed Racer, that is Tonka's name's Tonka.
That was 10 years ago? No way. Speed Racer's pretty old. Speed Racer is a lot older than 10 years.
10 years. Monkeys live a long time too. I didn't know monkeys live that long. So,
I mean, they're related to us, unless you're a denier of that. I guess.
I mean, but those are my two nerding out shows.
Okay, all right. I can match that. I told you last week the only thing I was watching was Gravity Falls. We finished that on like Monday or Tuesday, and we just kind of like binged the last like 4 or 5 episodes all in one morning. Just because once we were that close, we were like, we gotta finish it. And I'm gonna be honest, I felt a little weird after it was over, because like my brain was so immersed in that world for like the last couple weeks that when it was over, I felt a little withdrawal. Like there was some brain chemistry going on that didn't feel good, and I was like, I need to fill the void. And so I decided to just go right into the Hulk that we had to do for this week. But I spoiler warning, I loathed this movie when I saw it back in the day. I refused to pay for it today or for this week. So I signed up for the free trial of Stars for 1 week so that I could watch the Hulk for free. And then after I did that, I was like, well, I got Stars for a week. I might as well see what else there is to watch. So I watched The Expendables 4.
Oh,
that one's rough, man.
Who's new in that one?
Megan Fox.
And Ronda Rousey,
No, she was like the third one, I think, or the second one. It's Megan Fox and 50 Cent.
Okay.
And they kind of let Jason Statham take lead on this one as opposed to Sylvester Stallone, because Sylvester Stallone is old. I'm sorry, I don't mean that. I don't mean that to be ageist. I'm saying he can't do a lot of the stunts that he's that he used to be able to.
Did you watch Tulsa King?
No, I have not watched Tulsa King.
He's pretty good in that, but
I think he's a fantastic actor
on TV.
But I think that's the new normal for a lot of movie stars, right? Is like we're all getting used to that. But yeah, I watched that.
Were you down with Expendables 1? Like,
I loved Expendables 1.
Okay,
I think when it came out, when it came out though, it was the right time for it. You know what I mean?
I can't recall if it like. To me, Expendables and Fast 5 and on are kind of like the same movie in terms of like flavor.
Sure.
But I'm trying to remember if Expendables was first.
No,
not the first. Before.
Oh, Fast 5.
Yeah. Because after Fast 5 and on is when it changed.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you for sure. All I know is it was terrible. Like it was hard. It was hard to watch, because I think the first one was so amazing because like it was a celebration of a lot of practical effects kind of stuff. I know they were doing CG blood splats all over the place when they're killing people, but like they were trying to do stunts the way they grew up in Hollywood doing stunts and stuff.
Yeah,
and so it was
Jackie
a lot.
Chan in the first one or is the second one?
No, it's Jet Li.
He's in one though, isn't he?
Jackie Chan is, I don't think, in the Expendables.
Oh, I know it's Jet Li. I know Jet Li's in there.
He's in multiple Jet Li, isn't he?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. This is I read somewhere that this was the first one that was not with Jet Li, and this was also without Terry Crews in it too. So I think these are examples of why this movie wasn't as good as the other one. Like, but anyways. I really do love the spirit of the Expendables movies. I love the intent, like to celebrate the actors that we grew, a certain generation grew up on, and then bring in new blood to like kind of mix it and mingle. And that's a fun idea. But like this time around, it's like I felt like Jason Statham was like the old guy of the movie. I mean, and that was kind of weird because he's not. He's contemporary. You know what I mean? Like.
They messed up by making it a universe rather than an anthology. Because if they were patient and crank these out like every 7 years, it would be special. Like, because then you could like again cycle the new blood, old blood.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Different story. Because Can you tell me the plot of Expendables 4?
Yeah, I can, and that's what's bad about it. Like, it's bad. It's but I don't want to ruin the movie for people, but because we're not doing that show, but yeah, I think the weirdest part for me about it is like, yeah, Dolph Lundgren's in the movie, but he's like barely a thing. You know, Arnold Schwarzenegger didn't come back for this one either. There's a lot of people missing to make it feel like an old Expendables movie. And I do love Jason Statham, but it doesn't. It just feels more like a Jason Statham movie. Is kind of what it feels like, which is fine. You know, like I won't say it's a terrible movie. I'd say it's a terrible Expendables movie. How about that?
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that the last one, or there's
I read Stallone has been quoted as saying it's the first of a new trilogy.
Oh. But there hasn't been any since, though, right?
No, this one came out like last year, I think.
Okay, because I know they're still working. They're kicking around the all female Expendables.
Yeah, but what happened is instead they chose to do this where they added more women.
Okay,
there's several female characters in this one. Yeah, and then the other thing I started nerding out on again is Umbrella Academy. I heard a lot of bad things about it for the last few weeks, and so that's kind of kept me from getting back into it.
The new season?
Yeah, the final season.
Okay.
But I gotta be honest, like, I mean, you know, and I could change my tune when I get to the end, but where I am in the show so far, it feels like a warm hug, like a nice like blanket. Like, I just love that cast of characters. Have you watched that show?
That show bores me. I haven't sat down to watch more than one episode at a time.
I'm sorry.
Did you read the comic? I guess
I did not read the book. I did not read the book.
Are you interested in reading the book?
Sometimes I am, but I think I would rather wait till it's over when I finish finish it, which is soon. You know, within a week or two, I'll finish it because it's already all out. I would be interested in looking at the comic to see where things differed and where things maybe were better. You know, but for right now, I'm in this ride. You know what I mean? Like, I kind of want to see where this ride goes. So, but I like it. I like the ride. I'm very comfortable with the characters. Like, it didn't take me long to remember where we were in the story and start remembering the names and stuff, because that's always a weird thing with Netflix shows or anything you binge, right? Is then you go a year and you're like, hold on, let me remember their names and stuff. But they did a good job. Like, and they got me back in the loop really fast, and I was just there to enjoy the ride again. And then they have some new people that joined the last season, and you can't ever disappoint me when Nick Offerman and Megan Mullally show up, because they are like my favorite couple on this planet. And so when I see them together in something, it's a special treat. And then David Cross is also in it. So yeah, dude, it's I mean, it should tell you something that they're hiring like these awesome comedic actors to round out the final season. Don't take the show so seriously, people. There's comedy, you know. It's okay. It's okay. So yeah, that's what I've been nerding out on.
Our talk of Arnold reminded me. I did watch it's like the first episode of the Terminator anime.
Oh, I got that on my list. I got that on my list. It looks good.
It's cool. I like it so far. Will I finish it? Let's see. Anime is not my thing, but I really do like Terminator. It's basically Terminator in Japan.
Yeah, you actually reminded me that I watched one episode of the Rick and Morty anime too, and I feel the same way you did right now. It's like, ooh, this is a very specific
thing, and you never really, at least I never really thought of it until you kind of realized in the show is like a Terminator coming back in time in the 90s in Southern California. There's a lot of guns here. There's like so many guns here. Like, it's like the worst spot for John Connor to be at. Versus going to Japan where there's like no guns. It's a different. The Terminator has to terminate in very different ways.
Okay, all right.
It kind of makes it interesting.
That's funny. I never even would have thought of that as being something to consider. But okay, all right. I'm more intrigued now. So, but it's still a T800, right? It's supposed to be the Arnold model.
Yeah.
Right,
It's like it's a little confusing. It's kind of like it's concurrent to, it's like leading up to D-Day, so it is still a set like in that whatever that 94, 96 year.
Did we fail to mention when Judgment Day was last week?
It was the 26th, right?
It was August 24th, 2024.
That's when the show came out.
Yeah, I know. I thought that was pretty cool that it did that. But we survived, guys. We did it.
It was Judgment Day's the anniversary, because that took place in 94, didn't it?
No. I'm saying the Judgment Day in the story was
happened
in 2024.
Was it?
Yes. It's in the future. Yes, it is. Like Sarah Connor explains it in Judgment Day.
I thought it happened. Well, I thought it happened in Terminator 3, but they tried to rewrite they rewrote the timeline. Mm-hmm.
But I'm saying if you want to ignore the stupid movie and stick with the canon, just like the newest. I mean, right? The newest movie ignored the 3 and 4 also, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So if we're going with that, then Judgment Day was last week, but we survived. So we're good.
The show honestly makes me want to go back, and I kind of remember liking Salvation a lot.
Oh, Salvation's cool too.
Like
Salvation's cool.
The Terminator
it's Christian Bale, dude. Christian Bale.
Yeah, it's Christian Bale, but I think that's the first Terminator movie where I feel like they actually have weight to them. They really sell you on like there's robots in these things.
Okay. I felt that in the original too, for sure. But okay, I get it. Yeah, but no, it's I'm excited to go check that out. So I definitely am interested in seeing that. Yeah, I can't think of. There was something else I was gonna nerd out on, but that's a lot. We had a lot of content there that we just talked about. So if anybody is into any of the things that we just talked about, let us know in the comments. Let us know what kind of stuff you guys like nerding out on, because we don't just do superhero stuff. Like we talk about it all. We just chose to do that as our show because there's that much superhero content to talk about.
SEO, baby.
Yeah, exactly. You got it. But yeah, if you got nothing else to talk about for as far as nerding out stuff, I too have been nerding out on Fortnite. I have way too many. I'm kind of afraid now of the rest of the season because I'm gonna cap within like a couple days now.
And just like not play Fortnite.
No. Have you seen the Black Cat skins coming? This rumored to be coming out next week.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. As a Spider-Man fan, it's pretty cool.
You can have all his girlfriends on your team. You can have a team of girlfriends now.
Yes. I mean, Gwen Stacy, that's kind of cheating. That one's not his girlfriend.
Oh, yeah, it's true.
That's inappropriate. But yes. You know what, Ricky? I'm honestly I'm just excited that this time around, I know you tried to get me to play the Marvel Fortnite season years ago during the first year of the pandemic, and I was just like not having it. I wasn't in the mood to check out Fortnite then because I had played it a couple times and wasn't a big fan. But I'm so happy to not have missed out on any of it this time around.
It's a fun, I see it like almost like it's just, for me, it's a social space where I get to hang out with my friends that I don't see every day.
Yeah. And you get to do stuff and you get to wear the suits you want to wear, you know what I mean?
Yeah, the game is second nature. It's just doing dances and putting on cool outfits for them.
Yeah, for sure. But I think the game just keeps evolving too, and that's why they do that, the OG seasons, to kind of remind you of how far they've come. But it's a cool thing to just like hop on with your friends, dress, put on the superhero costume and be like, check it out, I live in this world now with a gun for some reason, and that's
I can't wait till the Incredibles come in so I can be Mr. Incredible with a gun.
I know, it's weird. It's weird. That's the one jarring part about it all. But it is cool to see everybody like jump on to do that kind of thing. it's what people do nowadays, so I enjoy that. But yeah, it's
Well, should we enjoy a little bit of news?
please do it.
Alrighty, announced at the Marvel Legends panel on Comic-Con, and now up for pre-order, we have Crystal and Lockjaw in a lovely 2-pack.
And a bunch of ads for Bolt Up.
$75 for the 2-pack, right?
70.
What
do you think about that?
I like Lockjaw. I know what Lockjaw does. He's a teleportation machine, right?
Yes.
Is he a one of one, or is he part of a race of these things?
I'm not sure. I always assumed he's an inhuman dog. I always assumed that he
has the gene.
Well, he went through the Terrigenesis, but I could be wrong.
Because he's big. He's not like a normal sized dog.
Yeah, but I mean, one of the Inhumans is a freaking Minotaur guy, so
that's true,
or some kind of thing like that, So I wouldn't put it. I don't judge. I just don't judge the Inhumans. They are all collectively weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I guess my next question is,
he is an Inhuman giant bulldog. So there you go.
What's
he was
like
born on the island. She's like the princess of the Inhumans.
Power. What's her power?
I'm trying to remember what her power is. Honestly,
so she's related. She's Black Bolt's kid.
I don't think she's actually his kid. Hold on a second. I'm reading this right now because I always forget. Where is she? Crystal, what's your deal? Air manipulation? Is that her deal? Crystal is let's see. She's from the Inhumans. Oh, she controls the elements, dude. That's what she does.
Okay.
She's elemental. She's sister to Medusa. So she's princess in that capacity, in that she's Medusa's sister.
The Inhumans, though, as a whole, they're pretty old, right? They go back to the 60s.
65.
Okay.
1965. Stanley Jack Kirby. This was like Jack Kirby's some of the trippier stuff he did for Marvel. It gets weird. I wouldn't say trippy, but just very Kirby-ish.
They're pre-X-Men?
No. 63 is X-Men.
Okay.
Yeah, but Crystal is. So here's the thing. I don't necessarily passionately love every character in the Marvel Universe, but I passionately love the Marvel Universe enough that I embrace every character.
Mm-hmm.
So with the Inhumans, I've always kind of seen them as these funny outsiders, and I think that's kind of how they're supposed to be portrayed in the comics and stuff. Is they show up sometimes in my comics, and I'm like, hey, look, there's those guys, and I have learned enough about them over the years through other comics, but I don't go out of my way to read Inhumans comics. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They're that kind of character. You can't it's hard to know somebody who collects equally every single Marvel comic. You know what I mean? That's not a thing. Well, so
you probably, because Black Bolt was an Avenger, right? For a minute.
I mean, all of them have been Avengers. Everybody's an Avenger at some point in the comics. That's just how. Avengers is the sluttiest team there is. It's they'll take anybody. But Crystal is she's a longtime friend of the Fantastic Four. That's kind of her tie-in.
Wait, she's with all of them or just one of them?
If I remember correctly, I think she dated Johnny for a while.
Okay, that makes sense. If she can control the elements, that would be a pretty good pairing.
Yeah. She dated them, and then later on, she kind of became more somehow involved with the X-Men, and she eventually married Quicksilver.
I think that's where it is. I feel like I remember her more in like an X-Men capacity, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, and then I think there was an interesting weird story because that they got married during that the post House of M world where like only a handful of mutants still had their powers, and I think one of the things that Quicksilver did was like he tried to steal the Terrigen crystals so that he could go and give all of his friends' powers back again, but like I don't think that went well for him.
In Humans, you have to turn into, you're exposed to the mist and then you're inhuman inside.
It unlocks your latent like whatever power inside of you. Yeah.
Whereas a mutation is the same thing, just with no mist.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we're all people. We're all humans.
The Inhumans were actually a race of people, I think, created by the Kree, if I remember correctly.
Really?
Yeah. The Kree came and biologically experimented on early humans and enhanced them and made them better and gave them this teragenesis process.
Sounds like Prometheus.
Yeah. You mean Prometheus sounds like this?
This.
Yeah.
I've asked this before, but mutants in the MCU, or I say MCU, in Marvel they're all human, right? Or
yes.
Can aliens have the mutant gene?
No, there are technically mutation can happen in any species, in any biological species.
Yes, I know that. But you know what I mean.
So if a mutation
the X
can happen,
gene or whatever.
No, but I'm saying if a mutation can happen in anybody, then the logical thing is that any race can have a mutation that is extreme, like the X-Men. You know what I mean? So, yes. Like for example, I believe Super Skrull is technically a mutation. He's a mutant of the Skrull because he's able to do more than
crazy. Yeah, he can absorb.
He can do powers. Like 4. He can do like multiple people. Yeah, and if I remember, yeah. So there's examples throughout like the galaxy in the Marvel universe of weird, but I don't think they necessarily call it. Hey, you should be an X-Man. You know what I mean? Like it's
no, but you know what I mean. Like just whatever the gene, I guess.
Yeah, like, I think it's easy to get hung up on it, and I think that's why like I just kind of like don't care, and that's why when you ask me about the Inhumans, I just think they're like the cousins of the Fantastic Four and the X-Men. You know, they're both somehow related, and like, but they don't see each other that often. You know, they're just like, hey, can we hang out in your story today? And I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Could we use your crazy bulldog that teleports? Sure, why not? You know, and then it's convenient, and that's how it goes. But all that said, cool ass toy. Cool ass toy.
It's a cool ass toy.
I mean? I'm just saying the toy is cool, and that's why I just welcome it all. Like if you want to give me a toy that I've never had in the Marvel Legends form.
There's never been a Lockjaw?
No, there's never been a Marvel Legends Lockjaw. There's never been a Marvel Legends Crystal either.
Really?
Yes, that's dude. 6-inch Marvel Legends collectors are quite frustrated at how long it's taken to get an Inhumans team. We currently have 3 characters. That's it.
Yeah. And Black Bolt, Karnak.
Yeah.
And Crystal, right?
No, Medusa.
Oh, I guess Medusa now, Crystal. Yeah.
Yeah, so Crystal will be, and Lockjaw will be the 4th and the 5th.
The dude with the fins not in there?
No. Triton has never had a Marvel Legend. Neither is Gorgon. Neither as what's the evil guy? I can't remember their enemy right now. The Maximus or Max.
Oh, Max. Yeah. Max. Yeah.
Maximus. That's correct.
When the past like decade or so, 15 years, when Marvel did not have the movie rights to something, they kind of put their comic book counterparts on ice in like kind of like a weird negging action to like if you're not going to make a movie of this property, we're just not going to promote it in our comics. Did that translate to the toys at all? Like, is that kind of why this is still like, for a while they weren't making new Fantastic Four comics. For a while they weren't making not Hulk stuff, but I forget the other one. X-Men were kind of on ice for a minute.
I think the reality is like in the scope of superhuman teams in the Marvel universe, some are very marketable and some are not, right? I think that's what it comes down to. I think we have all learned through the collective 24 plus years that we've lived on this earth, X-Men is highly marketable. Like Spider-Man is highly marketable. Avengers, surprisingly highly marketable. Fantastic Four, kinda, you know what I mean? Like they're trying. And so I think if Fantastic Four, which should be a home run, is a kind of an then I think Inhumans and like Thunderbolts and other stuff like that, they're gonna require a lot more hand holding to get them to be popular in pop culture. And I don't think they put their best foot forward with the first Inhumans live action thing that they ever did. In fact, I would say that was the worst foot you could put forward. So much so that we need to wait another like 10 or so years before we even revisit that as a live action property. And I think that is why they've been dragging their heels on selling them as toys or other merchandise, because there's not a lot of demand for Inhumans right now, you know what I mean? But the fans who've been collecting Marvel Legends for so long that they just want everybody, give me any new character ever, I'll take it.
So now your Crystal can play with your Chris Star?
Yeah, that's true. You got a point. That has to happen. Write that down. That's a picture.
That's way out?
Chris Star? Yeah, that toy is amazing. It's a good picture. Yeah.
All right.
Or a good toy. Yeah.
I think we talked long enough. We're all green and ready to go. Let's talk about the Hulk. Whew. All right. 2003's Hulk, right? There's no the. It's just Hulk.
It's Hulk. In some territories, I guess it's referred to as the Hulk. But adjectiveless Hulk is what we go by.
Directed by Ang Lee, starring Eric Bana, Jennifer Connelly, Sam Elliott, and Nick Nolte.
Man, Ricky. I'm trying to figure out how to say this.
Has your perception of this movie changed at all? Not I don't want to know if it's good or bad. Just has it changed.
So full disclosure on this episode of our show, we intended to have some guests, and I was very excited to have these guests because I wanted to have other people here to talk about this movie, because as I may have mentioned before, I was not excited for this one. As a 20-something-year-old person who was a rabid reader of comic books back then, I was thoroughly upset with this movie going into it and coming out of it. I didn't like Ang Lee in general. I've seen a lot of things like interviews and stuff, and I don't know. I don't feel like it's weird for me to see directors be so cocky as to be able to believe that they can knock it out of the park with any genre type movie ever. And so I wish you would just like pick a few genres and stick to them instead of going and messing with the comic book genre, which he's clearly got a weird.
I disagree with that, but
what I don't like is I don't like the literal nature of the comic book adaptation that he did, in that he chose to throw panels into this movie to be like, hey, look, it's based on a comic book. And I don't think that's respectful in the way that that fans necessarily want to see it, because the reason we go see a comic book movie is to see an adaptation of that comic, not to see that comic on the screen. You know what I mean? And so that rubbed me the wrong way really early, just when that movie was starting. You know what I mean? But I already didn't like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon before that. Like, there's a whole thing. I was not an Ang Lee fan, and I went into this movie already upset, and I came out of this movie pissed off, and it made me not ever want to go watch it again. But fast forward to now, I think what's really interesting about this time around is we just got done watching Ghost Rider last week, right?
Yeah.
And we had a kind of fun therapeutic breakthrough when you were asking me my opinion of that movie. And I was saying, look, man, I know a Ghost Rider ain't that great of a movie, but like sometimes I just want to see the monster and I want to see it do the thing, right? And I think that's a beautiful thing about Ghost Rider is like, as long as you Ghost Rider do the Ghost Rider things, you're kind of happy, right?
Yeah.
And so I looked at this movie through that lens this time around, and surprisingly, like, well, one, it helped, but also it kind of hurt it looking at it in a different direction, because I think the difference is where Ghost Rider is, I don't really care at all about Johnny Blaze. I think with the Hulk we do, right? Because the if you know, both are wish fulfillments, it's in different ways, because the Ghost Rider is not a very relatable thing in that, like, unless you go with like the analogy that we all have demons inside of us and how do we control them, how do we use them, you know? But I think in that sense, if you take a step just a little more in the literal direction, we all have anger issues, right? We all have our own like guilt or just remorse about an incident in our lives that could have been handled better if we knew how to manage our anger. And I think Hulk being the manifestation of anger is a really cool thing that makes me also want to understand Bruce Banner as a character. And I think that's the different lens, because I was more open-minded to just appreciating the movie. I was looking at it through a different lens. And this time around, what I found out is Bruce Banner ain't in a lot of this movie. And it's kind of a good movie for all the parts that he's not in. But it's a weird Hulk movie, right? Like, yes, the Hulk is in it. There's a monster that does Hulk.
It's not like, I don't say it's not a Hulk movie, but again, I watched it when I was a child, so coming back to 20 years is very different. They're telling a Bruce Banner story,
but through other people's lenses, right?
Kind of through other people's lenses, and they're tackling some pretty heavy themes that I don't think anyone going in to watch a Hulk movie were expecting and probably wanted at the time.
Right.
But I think hindsight does this very well, and I think execution's a different story. But I like, okay, there's like elements of like I know you don't like Logan, but Logan, or I won't say like it's the Dark Knight in terms of they're trying to tell a serious story, right?
There's heavy dramatic themes that are being presented in the movie, and that was kind of refreshing to see that. But it was also depressing because I feel like they forgot to make me care about the actual character. Like, I found Jennifer Connelly and Sam Elliott to be absolutely amazing in this movie.
Great.
They are fantastic, and they are in so much of the movie. Was it weird to watch the movie and every now and then look at your watch and be like, they're in a lot of this movie? Were you doing that? Because I was. Like, it was kind of weird how much they were selling the story of the plot.
Top billing, right? It was Eric Banner a bigger thing than Jennifer Connelly at that point? Because she's probably the bigger draw.
Yeah, but I think you have to give it to him because he's the star. Well, he was in Black Hawk Down. He was in Black Hawk Down. But she was definitely the most important character in that movie. it was strange to me how much Betsy was like, and I'm not mad about it at all. Like, I actually really appreciated her. I just wish that we would have gotten more Eric Bana to for us to relate to, and for us to see model of the behavior. Because here's the interesting thing, you know, like I always say, anytime any superhero movie ever, you show me a superhero behaving heroically and I'm good, right? And I think the problem I have with this movie is it took a long time to see that. But also, like, even though I see the Hulk do heroic things, right? I want to see Eric Bana do heroic things, and it took. Sorry, I want to see David Banner or Bruce Banner. Yeah, I get the names. You don't understand. There's a whole hang up I have with David Banner from back in my childhood. That's what they used to call him because they thought the name Bruce was
from the cartoon,
yeah,
the live action,
live action, anyways, too flamboyant or whatever you want to call it. But yes, the whole thing with like Jennifer Connelly like being the center of this movie and explain, and like she's investigating. She cares more about Bruce Banner's past than he does. He's like, why are you always bugging me to find my birth parents? Like, I'm fine. And I'm like, yeah, Betsy, why do you care more about, you know what I mean? Like, and I get it because she's the better actor, right? And so she's gonna have to pull a lot of the weight, like yeah, and so she does. And Sam Elliott does too, right? And a lot of the exposition for the story comes from them, which is really strange. But like, I could find a lot worse people to give me the exposition. Like even Sam Elliott in Ghost Rider gives worse exposition than Sam Elliott in Hulk. I honestly would say Sam Elliott's General Ross is one of his best performances, period. Like, he is excellent in this movie, and it makes me so sad that we're getting a Harrison Ford as General Thunderbolt Ross. You know what I mean? Like, that's just, it's okay. Whatever.
Big shoes to fill.
Yeah, but so as you can see, Ricky, like, the crazy part was I was really able to enjoy this movie a lot more, but I also found new flaws with it, and that's what weirded me out. You know what I mean? Like, in 2003, I was not complaining that there was not enough Eric Bana. I was complaining that I was like, why do you have to retcon the origin of the Hulk? And why is the Absorbing Man his freaking dad? That's just dumb and stupid. And why are there Hulk dogs? And why is, like, you know, like, it's so many dumb things that are just like impossible. But I understand the difference of where I was then versus where I am now. Now, like, you know, our good friend Travis said many times, we have an embarrassment of riches, right? We have seen, how many times have we been given Hulks, right? Like, we've been given so many Hulks.
Well, yeah, it's almost like, since this was the first thing out the gate, and it wasn't, for lack of a better phrase, like a paint by numbers Hulk movie, it's something a little more bespoke. It can be weird. It's weird, like, right? Like, imagine we get I guess the inverse is working really well as Guardians, right? What the fuck is Guardians in relation to what that comic was?
Right.
And it hit, granted, but had that movie not been a hit, we would have been like, whoa, where's my give me my actual Guardians of the Galaxy, please. None of this space opera crap. But, like, you know,
but you know, the other reason Hulk hits different than most is because there's an entire generation of people that already grew up with a beloved version of the Incredible Hulk that they were nice enough to give pay homage to in this movie, right? The cameo with Stan Lee is not just Stan Lee; it's actually Lou Ferrigno, who also voices the Hulk in this movie. So they know how much we still love the Hulk.
He did the Hulk up until like Avengers, didn't he?
Yeah, he did the voice in Avengers also.
Yeah.
He's just, sorry. Yes, I don't remember if he did in the Incredible Hulk, but I believe the Avengers he did.
He is in the Incredible Hulk, though.
Yeah. Yes, he is. But you know, I think that's the difference, right? Is we had a lot of baggage that we were putting on him. And so when we see a version of it that's weird, we're like, ew, not like this. You know what I mean? But in hindsight now, given the multiverse of everything, like I'm more forgiving of interpretations of stories, and I don't hate that Ang Lee was trying something different, right? Like I don't. I do hate his execution of something different.
Yeah.
But I applaud him for trying. It was trying to tell a more adult, more mature theme to like a very complex character, which like when I was growing up, I never knew anybody that liked the Hulk as their favorite character, but I know adults that do, and I see that. I understand now, like that some people like had a harder road to get to where they are because of their anger issues, and so it's a very cool thing to see presented in that mature way, which let's talk about repression and let's talk about anger and familial like spouse like domestic abuse, and let's talk about like the fragility of men, and like how selfishness can get in the way of so much of being a father,
showing or alluding to like kids getting beat in a movie probably marketed towards children.
Yeah,
it can be jarring. It's jarring. It's like it's a swing, but it's like it I think it hammers in home of like what this Hulk is, right? You really get a sense of like he's obviously superior in his physical form.
Yeah.
But it does stem from that his, I guess, incredible journey through anger while growing up, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like he's the only one that could have done it.
And I almost wish we could have seen more of Eric Bana's banner through this movie, like with him dating Betsy before, like flashbacks to them dating and more of those, and seeing like where she potentially saw red flags and why she's so insistent on him learning more about his familiar history, because I think the implication is she's seen something in him before that's a little alarming or a little concerning, but we never got to see that, right? He's just a nice guy who's there at the lab when Harper screws something up and he jumps in front of him, and then you're like, wow, okay, that's a cool save the cat moment. It took you like 33 minutes before we saw you do that.
Yeah, that's how they did it back then.
Yeah, I know, but like, but I still appreciate, he did the thing, but like, I don't really know who he is as a person by that point in the movie still after 33 minutes. And it takes a long time before we get to even know, we don't really ever get to know him as a person, but we get to know his baggage, right? Which is cool, I guess. And so I think, and then there's of course the spectacular parts where he turns into a giant green baby and jumps around and does weird shit, and he's mocap by Ang Lee. That's the part where I kind of check out, though. Like, can you admit he looks bad?
He looks bad. I'll give him a win where that's a hard character to do at that time. There was no way they were going to paint a dude for that movie.
No. But I'm saying, like, at that time, really, because I saw at the time 2 years before that what I considered to be the crowning achievement of CG superheroes. I saw Spider-Man be Spider-Man, and he was
but Spider-Man is his physical form as a man, and when you have to make someone something that's, because he also does grow in this movie, which is kind of cool.
It's a little weird. Like he gets to 15 feet tall in that movie and still has pants on. And I'm like, what the hell are these pants, dude?
But when you have a character of that size on location at that time, I don't knock the swing. Again, execution's a different thing, but the attempt was there. It could have been a lot worse.
Yes, it could have been worse.
He does.
I think he's too bright.
He's the shades he's a little minty.
He's too minty for the scenes that he's in, right? And also his head is big. Yeah. It's really big. Like I think they just messed the proportions up, but I think the weirdest part for me is that he doesn't actually look like any comic book Hulk that I've ever seen. Like, he doesn't have the brow, he doesn't have the shortened nose and the longer upper lip. He doesn't even look like Eric Bana, I don't think.
I think the cheeks.
Yeah, but it's kind of a bummer that he doesn't look. They didn't find a way to like extend the brow, you know, like to give him more features that make him recognizable as a Hulk.
Yeah, a smaller nose.
Because even Lou Ferrigno, they gave him a brow. You know what I mean? They gave him the big bushy eyebrows and stuff to extend the brow, and that's not just his face. Like they're doing stuff to make him look crazy. You know.
Yeah.
And so I kind of wished, like, that's I think what makes it the weirdest part for me is he's not recognizable as a Hulk other than he's green, you know, like he's green.
He does a lot of Hulkisms though, right? He fights the tank.
He says take it all, which is like so memeable for sure. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, man. I'll say this: the Hulk fighting the military is freaking chef's kiss.
Okay.
Even if he looks stupid, I love seeing him do that.
When he's running around the bed.
Yeah, dude, I won't hate if I can dig on Nick Cage's Ghost Rider all day. I can appreciate the entire desert section of the Hulk movie. It is beautiful. But you know,
well, I want to swing back to one of your dislikes when you originally mentioned the kind of paneling and how Ang Lee frames the movie. It is like a comic book going from panel to panel. Does a post Spider-Verse Dennis, did that move the needle in a positive favor to you looking back on this?
So let me clarify what I don't like about his use of paneling. Panels in comic book pages are used to be efficient, right?
Yeah.
We have a limited amount of time in pages in the sense to tell a story. So we need to fill the page with as many pieces of vital information as we can. What Ang Lee did was not that. Usually when he included panels, they were just different camera angles of the same scene. And that was really blowing my mind because it showed a fundamental lack of understanding of what the panels were for. And he just sees them as a visually aesthetic thing. They're a way of conveying important information. You know what I mean? They're the medium working with its constraints. And so I don't feel like he's doing the same thing in the movie. I feel like if anything, he's showing how expensive this movie is. Look, we filmed this scene 4 different ways. You know what I mean? Like, does that make sense to you? Why I don't?
Yeah, no, it does.
And so, like, I am not opposed to taking artistic swings that have value and add something to the story. But I don't think he added anything to the story. I think he's just choosing to make the movie self-referential and say, hey, look, I'm a comic, which I don't know. As a comic book fan, I find that insulting to say, hey, look, I'm a comic. If you're going to say, hey, look, I'm a comic, show me why it needs to be. You need to make it clear that it's a comic. And Spider-Verse does that beautifully, right? It's like it gives you all the different ways that these characters are presented. Comics, TV, cartoons, movies, you know, like we get it all in Spider-Verse. And so it makes sense. That's my complaint with the panels.
No, that's valid. It is a little gratuitous in some of the angles that they choose to show.
It's quite gratuitous. Like when you're watching Betty leave the room 4 different ways, and you're like, I was like, what does this matter at all? Like, this is dumb. Yeah, that's my big beef.
I presented you with the question in our check-in earlier this week, but we've had, I guess, technically 3 live-action banners now. 4 live-action Hulks. Right? No, 3 live-action Hulks.
I mean, if you want to call them live-action Hulks, sure.
Well, you know what I mean. Like, where...
Yeah.
What's your ranking from best to worst on each of them? Because I do think they're different. For me, they're different.
Yeah, that's hard because, like, I just caveated your thing, right? Like, in my mind, there's only been 1 live-action Hulk. there have been plenty of CG Hulks that have co-starred alongside live action actors, and I love them for it, and I love the mocap performances too that are presented. But Lou Ferrigno is the freaking live action Hulk until they ever try to do it that way again. You know, like even if they did it with just a really buff person and then enlarged him Lord of the Rings style, that would be interesting to see too. But I'm not saying it's better. I'm just saying like he's the live action Hulk. That said, my favorite theatrical Hulk is probably the modern ones that we get with the Mark Ruffalo, only because I think he looks like Mark Ruffalo, but also looks like the freaking Hulk, which is kind of weird. And like, I don't mean it to be an insult to Mark Ruffalo, but like his face turns into the Hulk pretty good, and it's weird.
You know what it is? They square him up nicely.
Yeah.
The Hulk has like a box for a head.
Yeah, he does.
And they do a good job of like framing it with the Mark Ruffalo overlay on top.
Yeah, with the face in there. Yeah. But I also just like that Mark Ruffalo got to take us on more of the journey of the different iterations of Hulk, you know? So we got to see like the Gladiator Hulk. We got to see Smart Hulk. You know, whether or not people like Smart Hulk, that's a whole other thing. I like Smart Hulk, but I like to see
there's an art to him for sure. Like
there's an art. And none of the previous Hulks, other than, you know, maybe Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno, ever really got to have a story that continued, right? Like that's the unfortunate part of this movie is they did intend to do a sequel, but it took them too long to get it off the ground. And so at a certain point they missed the deadline, and the rights somehow kind of reverted back to Marvel. Partially. And so what was supposed to happen was the sequel turned into The Incredible Hulk, which was a partnership between Marvel and Universal.
Yeah.
Right. The two of them made that movie together. And then because of that movie, like there's some weird thing where Universal still retains movie rights for like X number of, I don't know how long. So that's why we don't ever get a solo Hulk movie again, because Marvel doesn't feel like splitting the profits. Sorry, Disney doesn't feel like splitting the profits with Universal for any other movies. So whatever, they find ways to have Hulk be guest stars in other people's shows and movies and stuff. That's fine. But I think, you know, that said, Eric Bana and Ed Norton really never got to really grow the characters, right? They got to establish the characters like in their own different ways. And that's fun, but like, you know, and I still feel like the Incredible Hulk was kind of an origin movie, even without the origin in it. Like
it kind of is, yeah. They skip the creation, but you get the acceptance part of it.
Like yeah, exactly. And so I liked both versions more than, you know. I think the Hulk has had some pretty interesting attempts, but I don't think he's justified needing his own movie because he's done such a good job.
I do feel that way too. I don't know if I want a Hulk movie.
Yeah, because it's the monster movie, right? Like it's weirder. Like, you know how fun it's going to be when Ghost Rider shows up in an Avengers story? It's going to be awesome. But we don't need a Ghost Rider movie, right? Like it's okay. No. Like
he's need a Maestro movie?
See, now Maestro is really cool, but more in the context of like how he relates to everything else, in that like he kills all the other Avengers. And like, if you did a Maestro movie, I would want to see him do that. I don't want to just be told he did that. You know what I mean? Because I got told he did that in the comics, and I was like, cool. All right, that's fun. You know, like now I want to see a Maestro take them all out, you know, like even if it's an alternate universe or something like that, which it is technically. Let's see that. But again, I don't know that I need a Hulk movie, you know, like I think the Hulk is just, he's like he's the seat that you sit in at Disneyland for Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. Like he's the seat, right? he's not the ride, he's the seat that brings you through the story. Like the Hulk to me is just, you know, he doesn't talk much at all. He doesn't he doesn't have much to say or think about anything. He's just a rage monster, and I don't think a rage monster can carry the plot of your movie or your story, which is probably why Ang Lee chose to use Jennifer Connelly and Sam Elliott so much. That's where he was. I think we were mad as comic fans.
Do something that we didn't, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think they find ways in comics because it's such a visual medium that you don't have to. There doesn't have to be a lot of talking. You could just do, panels with just Hulk smashing thing, and it's cool. But like cinematic, maybe in small doses it works, right? Which we learned from the way Joss Whedon used him in the Avengers. It's the perfect amount of Hulk in that movie, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just an excellent amount. Thor Ragnarok, it's the perfect amount of Hulk in that movie, and Hulk makes those movies better because of that. I don't know that I need a Hulk to be carrying his own movie. So unless it's like Smart Hulk, then maybe it could be interesting, but that would be expensive.
Well, we'll wrap this up. I do have a few more questions. So we're getting a Hulk villain, the leader, Samuel Stearns in Captain America: Brave New World.
Yep. We're getting two villains.
We're getting two villains. We're getting Red Hulk too. Yeah, duh.
Yeah.
Does that? Where are you on the needle with that in terms of Hulk villains not fighting the Hulk? He could show up. We don't know. But
No. He's gonna fight the Hulk. They're gonna fight the Hulk at some point. It doesn't have to be in Thunderbolts. That's fine. But if they don't ever fight the Hulk, we got problems. Okay, we got problems.
Both of them.
Yeah, dude. I mean, like, I don't want to see.
Kind of an Avenger villain, though, isn't he?
I don't know. The leader is the Hulk's villain all the way. That is his like main one. That's his main dude. Yeah, that's his arch enemy. So like, but you don't want to see the Hulk like punch that guy because he's really like wimpy.
It's like the Joker, right? You don't want to.
Yeah.
The build up.
It's kind of fun, I guess, as long as he can take it.
It's like he telekinesis, doesn't he? In the leader.
Yeah. It's fine, but I'm saying like, I don't mind if they get introduced in this movie, but what needs to be resolved is when the government tries to take these things out and fails, they acknowledge that there's one thing that can beat them. You know what I mean? That's when your King Kong and Godzilla movies happen, right? Like when, okay, we tried the big mechas, it didn't work, guys. You got to get Godzilla. You got to get him. Like that's what I'm saying. So it doesn't have to happen in Thunderbolts. Probably shouldn't happen in Thunderbolts because I don't want to steal the spotlight from them. But I do expect. Sorry, Captain America is what I'm going to say. Yes, Captain America, but the Red Hulk better be in the Thunderbolts. By the way,
but he's not. They're not connected, are they?
He's a what?
I thought the Thunderbolts.
General Thunderbolt Ross.
I swear I've heard and read that they're just like two adjacent things, but they're not connected.
But I'm saying you have the opportunity in the MCU to make them connected. And but
your new Thunderbolt Ross is very expensive to put in more than one movie. That's a very expensive Thunderbolt Ross.
I don't care.
You also don't have a lot of time to do more stuff with the new Thunderbolt Ross.
Hey, that's not my fault. I didn't choose him.
God bless Harrison Ford, but he's old. He's an old man. Like
they already replaced him with
it would be super
once.
Fun if they go full circle and just end up back with Sam Elliott at some point.
I love Sam Elliott so much that I wouldn't be mad at it. I really wouldn't be mad at it. Yeah, I'll look it up, but I cannot remember. But somebody in the comments get in there and tell us. But I could have sworn there's some sort of relationship to the Thunderbolts and General Thunderbolt Ross. But in any case, I really feel like if that's not the case, that we should make that a thing because that's otherwise that's a dumb name that you guys just came up with. You know what I mean? Like, who came up with that name, the Thunderbolts? That's so weird.
In the trailer, at Comic-Con, the Thunderbolts is like the name of like Yelena's softball team or something like that.
That's
I'm not even joking.
weird.
Well, on that note, I think it's time we wrap it up.
In any case, Red Hulk is a member of the Thunderbolts at certain points in the comics. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Fair.
That's why I brought that up.
Fair.
You can wrap up the show now.
This has been Dan Excelsior. Thank you for joining us.
Subscribe, like
and subscribe. Patreon.com/DanXmedia. Like and subscribe with that handle. Everyone in our Instagram, YouTube, X, kinda maybe. We're on Spotify. If you like Spotify, you can find us there or wherever you find your podcasts. What do we talk about next week?
You know what we're talking about next week. We're going back to 1988, I think. Is it 88 or 89? We're doing The Punisher with Dolph Lundgren.
Ooh.
That's the other reason I watch The Expendables, is to kind of get in the Dolph Lundgren space.
Dolph mood. Aquaman's Dolph Lundgren.
I do like him more in the Expendables than I do in the other thing, but it's
yeah, I think we're good on a Punisher cycle. Probably catch 2 of them before we start up with Agatha here in the next week or a couple weeks. But with that, true believers. Enough said.
Yeah.